Hey guys! So, last week I was looking through my old art and I came across a lot of my personas. I forgot that personas were a thing. And just recently I kind of came up with a new one and I thought to myself, wow, I remember, looking at my past personas, I remember where I was, what type of person I was when I created this persona. By the way, please take a sip of water every time I say the word persona. Stay hydrated, kids. Anyways, I remember myself more through my art than, thinking back to when I was 5 years old or whatever, like I did in that time warp meme thing I posted like a year or so ago. So I kind of just wanted to redraw all of my old personas and talk about, their design and just, I don't know, stuff about them and who I was and stuff. So before I get into it, I messed up on the recording. You know how it would have been smart to like draw each persona and complete that picture while talking about them and then move on to the next one and talk about them. Yeah, I forgot to do that. So the line art is all over the place. Kind of, the line art's pretty good, but the coloring is all over the place. So I just don't match up the voice to the picture. So I apologize for my amateur mistake. It will not happen again. Let's just start the video. Oh god. The first persona that I'm working on in this video is one that I had back in September 2011 through July 2012. That's the earliest and latest dates I could find. This is one of the most stylized and cartoony persona I had. She was definitely more of a character. She did represent me, but she was a version of me that I wanted to be real, but she wasn't. She was, loud and extroverted and dressed kind of provocatively a little bit. I would have never been that person, but I sure as heck wanted to be. She is definitely a little bit edgy. Was I ever edgy? Not really. Maybe personality-wise, but not in looks at all. I was always pretty girly and stuff like that, so it didn't really match. My art was darker and a little edgier, I guess, but not in a scary way or gory way, anything like that. More like just dark colors with some neon colors sprinkled in there for eye-catching stuff. Design-wise, like I said, very showy offy. I would have never dressed like that. My whole stomach was showing, the bobbies were out, just stuff like that. I do like the design though. Legit, I still do. You can see in the references, I have two different references. One of her first design, which is just a black, white, and pink. And then the updated design, which included the neon green. When I color her in, I only use the pink and black and white. I let go of the green just because it's a little bit too much for me nowadays. She had a giant fly swatter because back in the day and even still now, I have a little job in my household, kinda, not an official job, but in the summertime, there are a lot of bugs that get into the house, a lot of flies, and I enjoy smacking them around a little bit with a fly swatter. Not in a weird, psychotic, future murder way, more in a I don't like flies in the house, so I'm just gonna kill them real fast. Yeah, I don't know if that's weird. I gave myself a fly swatter that could change in size. Sometimes when I'm holding it, it's a normal fly swatter size. Sometimes it's giant because it's a weapon or something. It doesn't really sound like a cool weapon, but it was quirky. And, and then before I move on to the next persona, I do want to mention this is when I started this YouTube channel. Back in 2012. If you look through my very, very first YouTube videos on this channel, there are a few speed paints from 2012. I don't know if there's any of my persona. I didn't actually look. But you can see how much darker my colors were and stuff like that. A little bit edgier. They're just speed paints. No tutorials or voiceovers, anything like that. So, yep. Moving on to the second persona. She was created in 2016. It was a huge jump. I did have kind of a couple personas in between that, but they weren't like major enough for me to want to include them. So I jumped to 2016, which was a huge year in my life. If you guys remember, this is when I really hit it off on YouTube. I mean, not hit it off, I'm not like a popular YouTuber, but that's where I started growing, because I think it was January 6th, 2016. Oh, I forgot to celebrate my YouTube anniversary once again, but I wasn't in a good place this January, so understandable. However, yes, January 6th, 2016 is when I posted my first art tutorial, which was the paper art thing. I started gaining followers on YouTube, and I was like, I need to kind of like have a brand, I guess. So I created this persona, which is what I actually dressed like. This was less of a character and more of, this is actually, kind of how I dress and how I act and how I look and, stuff like that. I was way more relaxed and chill and, like I said, more myself. I was really loving who I was and what I did at this time. I had actual confidence, which I forget that I had sometimes, just because the past couple years my confidence was like obliterated. And so I was like, man, I must hate myself. I've always hated myself, haven't I? But then looking back at this, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I did have a personality and I had confidence and I loved myself before this like relationship tore me apart. So I was doing great in 2016. And art-wise, like I said, I like my outfit a lot. I don't own the outfit anymore, but I still own the eye mask because it's a Gintama mask. Gintama? I can't pronounce Japanese words. I still have it. Oh, I still use it, actually. I use it every night. Anyways, and this is when I started doing the outlining around the eyes and eyebrows. You guys remember this? I was known for this. Like, it was a staple of my art. I did stop doing it for a long time, for like 2 or 3 years. But people, when they were imitating my art style for like challenges or whatever, they would always do the line art around the eyes and eyebrows. So yeah, it was just a big thing. And this is also around the time I pushed my love for owls. So like I said, I was kind of like, making a brand for myself. So one constant thing, or a few constant things, were the eye mask, drinking coffee out of a coffee pot, and having an owl, which is when I created Mocha. He is the owl character that I will still draw myself with. That's what I had named him, for those of you who don't know. I've been obsessed with owls since, like, oh my god, I don't know, freaking for over a decade now, I think. But I hardly drew myself with owls, but this is when I really pushed it, and I got the nickname of Owl Mom and stuff like that. So I talk too much. Going to the third persona. The third persona was okay. So she was around, 2017 to 2019. She is honestly the weakest persona I've ever had. Didn't really have a presence at all. Not really a personality. She was myself, pretty much. She was who I was. She always I keep saying she, but it's technically me. But she always wore a sweater with a white collared shirt underneath. I dressed like this a couple times in real life, but I always got made fun of for it, so I didn't dress like this. Very cute and preppy looking character persona with no self-esteem at all. Just a complete opposite of the persona before. This was like in a relationship / post-relationship. No, actually it's more in a relationship persona. So just nothing, I hardly posted on YouTube, and I hardly posted art. It was not a good time. But even though this persona has like bad memories attached to her, one good thing that I love about her is this is when I added the hair tufts. That word, I don't know, is it a word? It might not be a real word. I might have come up with it. The owl horns in the hair. Oh god, can you hear the background noise? That is terrible. So, as you know, I love owls. I try to draw myself with owls all the time, but sometimes I don't want to. Sometimes it just doesn't go with the picture. And I just really wanted my love for owls to be so obvious that I didn't have to draw an owl with me. I don't know if I actually accomplished that, and by the way, like the hair, I don't know. Anyways, so I was like, okay, my favorite species of owl is the great horned owl. The one that looks like it has little horns, but it's not horns, they're like little feathers. So I can incorporate that into my design and have like little bundles of hair on the top of my head that look like horns, like the great horned owl, but they're not. It's just hair. It's have a similarity with the great horned owl. And so I did it, and I still carry on that design. Even when I'm not necessarily drawing my persona, if I draw myself, like 95% of the time, I will have the hair tufts, hair bundles, hair horns, whatever I'm going to call them. And then my colors were not as, they were pretty bright at the time, but like not as out there as my new persona. The last one I'm going to talk about is my most recent one. She's one that I created in this year of 2020. She kind of goes back to the first persona, who was definitely more of a character. This one, the 2020 one, is a little bit more of a character than my past two personas, but not as much as the first one. This current persona is, again, another version of myself that I want to be, but unlike the first one, this is a version of myself that I'm working to become. She's not like, she doesn't have a giant fly swatter, she doesn't, she's not dressed all quirky and, whatever. She's just me, but happy. She is me, but with confidence and self-esteem. That's the same thing. I don't know if that's the same thing. And self-love and stuff like that. Her style was inspired by my love for 80s and 90s aesthetic. I've always loved the 80s and 90s, but I've been getting really into it recently, especially when it comes to their colors and patterns and their synth music. Like, I love all their music, but the synth stuff has like really got me. And I've been listening to like, especially Legend of Zelda synth remixes. Oh my god, I love that stuff. Like, just video game synth music. Okay, anyways, so I was like, this is such a big part of my, it's been affecting my art recently. Like, you guys saw my other video with coloring is important. That character, I put like the pattern on. It's just like, it's affecting my art so much. I was like, this has to be a part of my persona. This is just the bright colors. I've always loved bright colors anyways, and I feel like this kind of makes sense. She's wearing Adidas. I've been obsessed with Adidas for like 4 years now, but I never actually owned anything besides their shoes. So now I'm like, cool, I have clothing now, and my persona's gotta wear it. I went back to the eye and eyebrow, not highlight, but the outline. Yeah, outline. I was like, I had stopped doing it for a few years and I was super against it. I don't know why. I guess I was just like, that's what my old art had, but this is my new art. But now I'm like, you know what? I like how it looked. I still like how it looked. What is, it's not hurting anyone if I go back to this. Like, I like it. It's only hurting myself for like restricting myself. So I went back to that. I still have the hair tuft, still obsessed with owls. And this persona, out of all the other ones, well, the two middle ones, this one has confidence again in the way her poses. She has like chaotic energy, which is what I want. I want to be a little bit chaotic this year, and maybe for most years of my life, I want to just be a little bit chaotic, I'm so quiet and so shy. And I've been getting out there a little bit more. I've been doing things that I haven't been doing before. Just agreeing to plans that I wouldn't have agreed before, just because I am just a homebody, So it's nice being out there and just being myself more, just because I feel like deep inside I have more personality, and I just was suppressing it for a really long time. So this is like post bad breakup, happy or in a better place persona. And I will say, I have something in my throat for a second. I will say, a couple weeks ago, one of my coworkers looked me dead in the eyes and asked, Leslie, why are you being so chaotic? How did he say it? It's like, Leslie, why are you being so chaotic tonight? And I was like, this is exactly who I was meant to be. Not in real, like, I didn't actually say it, but in my head, I was like, this is who I am, and I feel so free. This is what I'm aiming for. And I have elf ears now because, every time I create a character, I always add like elf ears, like pointy ears, even when they're not elves. I don't know. I keep seeing elves. So I've always wanted to give myself pointy ears, but I was like, I can't. Like, it's not realistic. I don't have pointy ears. But now I'm like, who is it hurting to have pointy ears sometimes? I just bought some. They were $50 and I haven't worn them yet because I don't know how to put them on. So, but yeah, this is a better persona, a more confident persona, and just somebody who I'm striving to be in real life. And I'm talking too much. So this video has to end. Thank you so much for watching. Please be good outlets for me. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.